This is the Joe Anggun, sort of their step-through city commuter kind of bike, and it's a lot of fun. You know, it works out pretty well. It's really about the lower price point on this bike. It's sub $2,000, which is nice, and you know, it's fairly feature-rich when we go through and look at all the different components and stuff that they've chosen. Kind of entry level, of course, you know, given the price and stuff, but it performs fairly well. And so let me just jump in and talk about the specs a little bit here. We've got Shimano Tourney TX in the rear, 7-speed, and that's controlled by this nice big shifter up here, really easy to access. Got the nice ergonomic grips, kind of makes it for a comfortable ride. We've got an adjustable stem right there, so you can kind of angle it up and create that nice relaxed upright position. I've got to say, you know, that neck isn't as good as some of the other ones I've seen out there where you can, you know, adjust it without a tool. If you go off a curb and stuff with this, over time, I think it's going to get kind of loose. And that's based on my experience with other bikes. I can't say for certain, but, you know, it's just got the Allen wrench adjuster there. You've got a front light on this bike, and it's actually integrated into the battery system, so you don't have to worry about batteries or anything. There's no rear light. Now, they do offer a rear light, and you could kind of ask the shop, or you could buy your own, but, you know, it's kind of a bummer. There's a rack, of course, and it uses standard size tubing, so you can put panniers or whatever. It's got a spring-loaded holder thing there. Got like newspapers or something. It's a bolt-on, so over time it might rattle a little bit more, but frankly, you know, it's standard issue. Got the nice chain guard, which everyone appreciates if it's a wet day. Keeps your pants clean and from getting ripped up on that front chain ring. The pedals wouldn't do so well on a rainy day. They're just these, you know, kind of cheap rubber, you know, they could be a little bit slippery is what I'm saying. But it's nice that you got fenders, front and rear. It's going to keep the splash off of you. And overall, again, this is kind of like a entry-level bike that it does all right. And frankly, you know, you got the seat adjust, quick release. You've got the shock up here, also quick release on the front. Disc brakes, which are totally going to help just keep this bike from getting out of control. It's about 55 pounds total, so it's not the lightest bike in the world, but again, this is kind of like, you know, early generation electric bike, fine-tuned a little bit, because it does ride pretty well. The shock works. There's not a whole lot of adjustment there, but it, you know, it's soft. It actually does provide some absorption going over bumps and cracks. The tires are kind of medium size, so they're gonna coast fairly well, but they're also gonna offer a little bit of shock absorption. And the seat itself is just kind of standard, but it's got this neat, like, you know, basically, actually there's a pin on the other side. Pull the pin, and then you push up on that, and the seat swivels up so you can get the battery out. So that's a perfect lead in to talk about the electric drive system on this bike. This is a 350 watt geared rear hub motor. Okay, so the geared means it's going to give you a little bit more torque. It's going to have a little bit more rolling resistance, but they can make the motor a little bit lighter weight, a little bit smaller, and frankly, it offers, you know, a decent power, but not a lot. Don't expect this bike to like carry you up huge hills or anything like that, especially if you weigh more. But the cool thing is it offers pedal assist, so there's a torque sensor. You can't really see it, but there's, you know, a little sensor in there, and every time your crank arm goes by, it sends a signal to the motor to add power. So if you are going up a hill, make sure you pedal. Otherwise, the motor's going to overheat, and you're going to have to stop. Eventually, the motor will work again, so, you know, that's kind of how that goes. The battery on this thing, as you can see right here, is built kind of right into that down, or the seat post area. It's a 36 volt, 16 amp hour. So, you know, 36 volt, 350 watt motor, that's kind of medium in terms of power. But 16 amp hours is a whole lot of juice, really. So that's great capacity. Should help you go further than some of the like 36 volt, 10 amp hour bikes. And it looks like it's lithium ion, but like nickel metal hydride mix. So I don't, you know, battery chemistries are always kind of an interesting thing in terms of performance. This is going to be a little bit lighter. It should get a decent number of charge cycles in the 1,000 range. And then the cool thing is, because it's removable, you can make the bike lighter by taking it off if you're transporting the bike. You can charge it at the office or wherever. And, you know, at some point, if you need to replace this thing, you can just pop another one on. It's not like a huge deal. And yet, they still kind of balance out the weight of the bike by having it mid-mounted. So this is a good balance, in my opinion. It's like, it's removable and replaceable, and yet it's still kind of keeping the weight low to the ground, and it's balancing out the weight of that rear hub motor. This is still a rear heavy bike, but not so much as some of the other ones. Again, it's about 55 pounds. So let me talk a little bit now about, let's pull this pin again, snap that down, perfect. Okay, so I really like the LCD they chose. There are a few other bikes that use one similar to this, and you can kind of swivel it up and back so that if the sun is reflecting and glaring, it stays out of the way, which is nice. You got a lot of different information here, all the way from like top speed to your odometer, and you can change between kilometers per hour, miles per hour, that kind of thing. Battery capacity, pedal assist level, and it's all activated over here in this little breakout box, which you can access while you're riding. So, I'm a fan of that. 0 lets you do the twist throttle and pedal without interference, but you can also kind of go up to 3 levels of pedal assist, or you can like hold these 2, actually press power again, and it goes to 4. So there's 4 levels of power assist. That last one's kind of sneaky there. And it works pretty well. Again, not the most powerful system in the world, but it works well enough, and the price is right there. So that's that. You can't turn the light on from this, which is one of the kind of but you can reach down and press the button yourself and it turns on. It's just a little LED light. And then you can also completely turn off the throttle here if you want. So if you're like gripping the handlebars and didn't want to accidentally activate the motor while you're riding, it's kind of neat that you can control that separately. So I'm going to go ahead and just hop on with pedal assist level 4 here, start pedaling for you, and listen for that motor. So you can kind of hear it, but it's not the most powerful motor. It's smooth, it's fairly quiet. Let's watch the shock. So you can kind of see it going up and down there. Again, this is somewhat entry level, but done pretty well. I also really like the folding bikes from Ejo. So let me do a wide angle shot here, and I'll use the twist throttle so you can kind of see the seating position, because that's one of the benefits here with the swept back handlebars, kind of upright and a little bit more comfortable. So here we go. Kind of see I'm sort of upright. There you go. Nice disc brakes, helping me stop. So again, overall, pretty good price point, fairly feature-rich, good entry-level electric bike, or if you're in an area where you're like, oh, I don't want, is the bike going to get stolen, you don't want to invest as much. But, the components and stuff, it's kind of entry-level, and the motor especially doesn't offer a ton of power. So keep that in mind. For more info on this and other electric bikes, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.